Welcome to another episode of Comic Book Squares. We're going to have another interview this time. It's going to be Edwin, and we're going to be talking about his book. It's going to be a good one. My name's Shane.
I'm Paul.
I'm Ben.
And I'm Mike. Let's get this show started.
Let's do it. My name's Edwin, writer and creator of Lost Between Worlds. Basically, the elevator pitch would be, what if Grim Reaper had to collect the soul of someone who claims to have dissociative identity disorder during an apocalypse? Sounds like a lot to do, right?
Yeah.
A lot to handle.
It's a really, really cool concept. I absolutely love it. I mean,
That's awesome.
Honestly, this is going to sound weird, but the first thing that I thought of when I was reading through your book was John Wick. And the reason I say that is because I think what they do with the world building of John Wick and like this interesting concept of, taking an assassin and doing something really interesting and different with it. And the way that you did that with the idea of the Reaper and like building a whole concept that was completely different around that single idea. I think it's really fascinating.
Yeah.
I think you did a really great job with it.
Yeah, can I?
Yeah, thank you.
I want to say too about the book because I really loved it, Edwin. And what I love though is your intro to the world. You found this really cool way, and I don't want to give anything away because I want people to go and buy it, right? But you found this really cool way to kind of take us from our world and then take us with some other folks. I'm not giving away, but take us with them as they're learning about this afterlife world and how the rules work and all that stuff. So really good job on like having a great first issue and like world building in just a few pages. All of a sudden I totally like grasped the rules of this world.
Thank you, guys. I mean, you guys could talk about it. I don't mind.
Okay.
I will say, like, for me, nothing is truly unique these days, so I just wanted to, it's all about execution, just try and be different about it, like you guys said. So yeah, that's what I was aiming for. But yeah, like I said, by all means, man, talk about it. Let's spoil it.
Hey, so the first thing I wanted to ask you though is how did you get started in comics? Like, this one seemed like the first issue first thing I've seen from you, but it was a really solid story and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So like, did you how did you get started? Were there other things you're working on? What got you here?
So for me, I've always had dreams of being a writer. Like, literally, I was 5, 6 years old writing little short stories of my favorite cartoons and video games. I always say, I bring up the fact that I was so cheesy, like I would write a Ninja Turtle story and write Donatello's lines in purple, Raphael's lines in red, and things like that.
That's awesome.
I was super cheesy. So I just like always practice, I guess, writing. At one point, I gave up the dream just because I was like, so hard to get into writing. Who reads books these days? I mean, I'm a reader, but I'm just saying, like, for the general people, like, it's hard to get someone to pick up a book. But I've always been into comics, movies, shows. And during the pandemic is when I kind of was like, I'm just sitting here doing nothing. And like, I've been having this idea that was inspired by Death Note. I mean, I can get into that, but the idea just kept coming and coming more and more. And I just like, I have to write this down. So as I started writing it down, I was like, what if instead of going the book form, I went for like the comic form? So that's how we got here.
Awesome.
That's awesome. So then, with this creation, I guess, what led you to this particular story that you wanted to, share with everyone? What led up to that?
So, like I mentioned, it was kind of inspired by Death Note. If you guys haven't seen it, it's basically an anime about some guy who a literal book falls from the sky where the rules are if you write someone's name, they die. Yeah. Jumping a little forward, it's owned by someone that's called the Shinigami, which is basically a god of death in Japan. And he says, or the main character, Light, asks him, what is your purpose in life? And he even responds with, we've lived so long, we've forgotten. When you write someone's name down in the book, the Shinigami steal the remaining lifespan of the person, and they also can see what it is. So, I don't know, that always made me think, like, if they can see what their lifespan was, maybe they had to be traditional Grim Reapers, right? Like, when your time has come, I'm gonna write your name, and boom, you're dead.
Yeah.
So I don't know, like, the thought always came from there, and then I've always been a fan of multiple personality storylines, like Mr. Robot, Fight Club, Split, things like that. Mm-hmm. So yeah, just kind of matched the two.
I loved that's when I was reading the book, it was so fun because I was like, okay, they're following this rock band. Now I can say it since you gave us permission. They're following this rock
Yeah.
band and all this stuff. And then she goes to take that guy's soul, and then the dissociative disorder. And I was like, what an interesting twist on like, oh shit,
Mhm.
your name's not in the, your name's, well, you have a different name than the person I'm supposed to take.
Yeah.
What do you do now?
Right.
Yeah, I definitely wanted to bring that morality issue. Like, well, if you swear, like you feel like you're a whole different person, why do you deserve to die? You know, so it's kind of like a cool route to take. See what happens.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. Love it.
Yeah, I
so
like
Edwin,
character-driven stories, so I just wanted to definitely go that route.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really great, and I wanted to compliment you on the story, but also the art too. How did you get connected with Elton, your designer, layouts, all that? It looks like he did the ink and everything, the inking and everything. I mean, his work really pops, and that's not to forget anyone else. I mean, your whole creative team, you've got some great colors, real great color palette, and all of that. So, how did you get connected with those folks to get this book together?
Reddit. There's a subreddit called Comics Collab where people are looking for other people to help. I need a writer.
Really?
I need a colorist. I need an inker. Yeah. Honestly,
Wow.
if you really want to do something, there's ways to do it. Just look for it on the internet. I don't remember who suggested it to me, but thank God for them, because once I looked up there, I was like, man, there's so much talent here. You know?
Yeah.
Well,
It's
you've got
fantastic.
connected. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Paul.
Yeah. No. I was going to say you obviously connected with the right folks because if you're writing
Yeah.
a story, you've got it in your head a specific way, right? It's just like if you read a novel, you're putting the pictures in your head. You got connected with somebody who was able to put it on the page, and I'm sure when you saw it, you thought, I mean, obviously it's here, so you must have been really happy with it. And it's a great product.
Yeah, no, thank you. I'm definitely in love with it. Like every time you turned in pages, I was like, man, this looks so official, like so
Yeah.
legit.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, man. I'm super happy for you. I mean, it's such an amazing thing to have something, in your head that you envision, and then to actually hold it in your hand and see it completed. That is an amazing feeling.
Yep.
So super happy for you, man.
Actually, that does. Can I
great.
ask a question on that, Shane? How did that feel?
Yeah.
Seeing those first pages come from the artist and stuff, and you
I
had
don't
this
know.
vision in your head, and then you got the
It
pages.
was just it definitely a happy feeling and also validation. Like for me, validation because okay, I'm really working on this. Like I'm gonna make it happen. And validation also to family and friends and strangers just posting it online and like, okay, this is proof. Like we're really working on it. As more and more comes out, like I hope you guys see. Like I'm serious. Like this is a thing. Because a friend of mine even told me when he read the short story version of it, he was like, "Oh yeah, this is really cool." And then when he finally got the book in his hand, he was like, I really applaud you for actually making it happen, because you've told me about several story ideas in the past, because I've known you for years. And he's like, but you never actually did anything, and here you actually finally did.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
That's
God,
awesome.
it's got to feel good.
Yeah, man, that journey from idea to holding it in your hand is people don't realize how much work it has to be put into that, and sacrifices you got to make from family, and people are like, hey, we're all going to the movies tonight. Well, I got to work on my book, man. I'm putting the time in, and so people don't appreciate that, until they, when you see the final piece. So
Yeah.
kudos to
No,
you.
thank you.
How did you
Yeah.
come up with the idea for the way you designed this Grim Reaper? Because I have to say, if the Grim Reaper comes for me, I hope it's her.
So I wanted to base all the Grim Reaper characters, which so far we only in the first book know Gwyn. But
Right.
actually, no, I'm lying. We've met Karen also. But anyways, I wanted to base them off real gods of death from different types of religions and cultures and mythologies and things like that. So Gwyn Ap Nudd is literally based on Gwynn Ap Nudd. But the real Gwyn Ap Nudd has a E at the end of Gwyn, so it's Gwynne, and it's a male. I decided to flip it and make it female just because I'm Hispanic, and so when you talk about death, you use female pronouns. So I just was like, it makes sense to just do it female.
That's
So
right.
yeah,
La Muerte.
exactly.
Right? Yeah.
hmm
exactly. No, that's it's
So
awesome.
yeah, no, I just wanted to also, besides that, I wanted to take the characteristics. So it's not a very known god of death, but I wanted it to basically be like, if you do recognize the god, you will see some of the characteristics. So, for example, the antlers it's the main trait of Gwynn Ap Nudd. So I was like, I have to have the antlers. And then, yeah, I just decided to kind of make it my own, feminize it and stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
So all these they're inspired by these
That's what
different gods of death.
Yeah, like I didn't want it to
Yeah.
stick out so much, but like if you know who it is, then you'll be like, hey, I see that.
Right.
See, that's a cool thing about, like, I think you even mentioned it, Paul, is just the idea of how you're influenced over your lifetime over artwork, and it, some parts stick to you, and and then it comes back out, and when you create art, it's kind of, you put your own twist on things. So I think that's what makes it so
Yeah.
unique and interesting. Yeah, really, really cool stuff.
Yeah, just that little detail, right? That little spin on it, with your heritage and that, and doing that little
Yep.
personal touch, that's awesome. And again, that's why we love these conversations, because again, if a lot of us probably would never make that association without you bringing it up. So thanks for that. I mean, to me, it just makes it so much more personal, and definitely the story that much more exciting. I love it. So
Yeah, and I love interjecting the things I love and make references to them if I can, and it makes sense to the story. Like, I don't know if you guys have seen the bonus version I made of issue 1, but the cover's a total reference to Abbey
I
Road.
saw that with the band. And stuff,
yeah, I did see that. Yes, absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool
like,
stuff.
again, it's kind of, I'm a big fan of, throwing Easter eggs or fun fact or trivia or just referencing meta things. So I felt like, if, the Paul McCartney's Dead conspiracy theory, and, with the Abbey Road album cover, they say that supposedly they were setting up a funeral procession. So,
Right.
one of them is like the preacher, one of them's the undertaker, one of them's the pallbearer, and then Paul's the body. So I was like, well, if the band's the ones who dies, they can represent that. So I just thought it was a cool little nod.
That's very cool. Yeah, I love
that
it.
is
I
very
do have a
cool.
question. I'm sorry, just because you were talking about the bonus issue. What led to you thinking of doing that? Because I did read through it, and some of the things you had pointed out to me when we were talking about the book, you and me, Edwin, when you were sending stuff over, is like, it was a daytime, event instead of nighttime. There's a few different changes. What kind of led to you to doing that?
So here's some more revelations of the creation process. The bonus version, fun fact, was the original version. Elton came into play after. Now, the thing is, I believe in happy accidents. Things happen for a reason. So the guy who does the bonus version, his name is Mac. He turned in about like 5 pages or so. And then for like a month, we lost contact. I started getting worried where I was like, oh, what's going on? Like, do I have to find another artist? It's only 5 pages in. It's not that bad if I have to restart. So I did. I found another artist. But eventually, Mac did get back to me, and he was like, oh, yeah, health reasons, yada, yada. So I was like, okay, I get it. But now I have two versions. So what am I going to do? So I kind of just like, well, we got variant covers. I don't think I've ever seen a variant issue. So I was like, okay, let's just, if I can do it, let's do it. So I did it. And that's how it ended up happening. I was like, it'd be kind of cool if I kept doing it for every issue and bringing a different artist every time. So it's like, something cool to expect. You never know what style it's going to be. You're shouting out different artists. And then I thought if I did do it, I would make it be like kind of like an alternate reality. So some different things might happen. So like, yeah, you mentioned one takes place in the day, one takes place at night. If you look at the bar, the setting and the actual bar itself is different. So yeah, just things like that.
That would be fun.
No,
Yeah, I haven't seen anything like that.
Well, yeah. Well, one thing I wanted to ask you about is, there's different stages to your journey when you're doing a book like this or any kind of an artistic project. And obviously there's that huge initial journey part when you're actually crafting it and creating the whole piece and getting it in your hand. But then the next phase, which sometimes can be even more challenging, is getting it out there to the world and letting people know about it. How's that process been for you?
Mostly fun. I mean, it's definitely work. It's hard work. Like starting from basically a no one, like no fan base at all, to not saying I have a huge fan base, but like we got backers, we got readers, it's something. So yeah, it's just, you got to put yourself out there everywhere, all the social platforms, any websites and forums that make sense, Reddit, doing interviews like this, just putting yourself out there as much as possible is the best way to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of, getting the word out there and trying to, broaden your fan base, I noticed that you mentioned that you're going to be, I don't know if you've done it yet, but you're going to have a Spanish version of this issue.
Yeah, we're working on it.
I mean, that's, you know what, I got to be honest with you. That's something I never even thought. Every Wednesday I go to the comic shop and I grab my stuff. I never even think, boy, I wonder if there's a Spanish version of Spider-Man. I have no idea, So I think that's great. I mean, I don't know of any other creators that we've talked to or books that we've looked at where, that's
Right.
been a component of it. I mean, that's pretty awesome that you're doing that. I mean, I can see that really helping, helping your, broaden, expand your fan base.
Yeah, thank you. It kind of
100%
made sense to me. I was like, if the more people can access it, the more fanship and viewers and all that you would have. I also have a personal reason, like my mom, she can't read my stuff, so it helps for her to finally be able to read it and my family and things. But yeah, definitely the reach. Why not?
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, I think it's super smart.
Shrewd business.
You said you've been writing since you were a kid. What over the years, I'm sure it's changed, but like, who are some authors, some writers that have like inspired you and influenced you over the years?
I would say from a kid, I loved, things like, J.K. Rowling, Harry Potter, but even before that, R.L. Stine with Goosebumps, K. Applegate with like Animorphs and things like that. Animorphs, they need to come back, bro. Animorphs was a serious story. Like, I don't know if you guys remember or ever read it, but man, that thing got really wild at the end. But anyways, besides that, I can't remember the name of the guy who wrote them, but I like the Dexter books. I've read Lord of the Rings. I've read a lot of things. Yeah, Jeff Lindsay. There you go. Yeah, I like how he puts the 3Ds on everything, like Dastardly Dark Dexter and all that. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I've read a lot of things.
Sure.
That's awesome.
What
Very cool.
what was the first story you came up with? Obviously, you said you started writing very young. What was it, that turtle story, or was there something you wrote, maybe before that, or if that was it, what was the first thing that really got people's attention that you wrote?
I wrote a lot of fan fiction at first, mostly for myself. The first thing I guess I ever put out there, which I can't even remember what site it's on. I don't even know if it's still out there, but it was like a Zelda fan fiction. I've written my own like Freddy Krueger movie, but again, this is all for me. I think, again, for me, I wrote like some short stories. Some are like horror. Some are, kind of based on like video game stuff. I think before this comic, the first thing I ever tried to maybe make a thing, but again, I just kind of put it away, put it on the side for now, was I kind of wanted to write. It's like a journal, but it's written in the perspective of the band members writing their tales of the road. So like the first story / chapter might be like the drummer's story sharing something. The next one might be like the guitarist or whatever. That idea still shelved. It could, I could come back with it, but just a lot of practice writing, I guess, because I'd never really put much of it out there.
Yeah.
Well then, Edwin, kind of on the flip side of that, right? We talk about some of the things that you've been thinking about, some of the things that kind of got you to where you are right now. I guess what do you have, like a million ideas floating around, like where you want to go next? Like, do you want to just expand upon the current, or do you have like a lot of different directions that you want to go? Any thought to that as far as where kind of your next steps might be?
For sure, right now I want to expand and just continue with Lost Between Worlds. I don't know if you guys understood the whole gimmick at the end that I foreshadowed. For sure, it's going to be like stated in the next book that it's going to take place in a 24-hour period. So the series will be 25 issues. So it's going to have an end at some point. So yeah, I want to focus purely on that if I can. Afterwards, I do have some ideas. And then I just want to do what I can with the series. Like, I'm trying to make a motion comic out of the first issue. I did a trailer that's sort of like a motion comic for the Kickstarter for the first issue. But I want to do the full thing. So like, I have some voice actors I've been working with for that. But yeah, mainly just focus on Lost Between Worlds. And then after that, I have some story ideas. We'll see what we do.
I think that's super
awesome.
smart.
Man.
Once again, just another creative way to
Super
get
creative.
the information out there. I love motion comics. I don't understand why they didn't take off more than they did initially, because I think they're really interesting. So yeah, that's a really smart idea. Are you also kind of doing the convention circuit as well, setting up booths in Artist Alley and that kind of thing?
Yeah, I've done 2 already. They were pretty successful, and I would say they're great practice. Like, everybody should do them if you can.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was even next to Scout Comics for my second one. They asked for a copy. I mean, I haven't heard back, but hey, they asked for a copy.
Hey, anything you got to get your name out there, man. That's everything you can do to help. It's awesome. Very cool.
Yeah, that's great. That's very cool. So you're in Florida right now, right?
Yeah.
What is the big convention that's down there? Is it in Miami, or is there a bunch of them, or?
There's a few. I would say the biggest that at least I can think of and have been to is not really in Miami. It's in Orlando, MegaCon. That one's pretty huge. But yeah, in Miami I've been to Otaku Fest, and it wasn't in Miami, but more northern. I went to Southwest Florida Con, which is where I was next to Scout Comics. And then I think there was one that's called SuperCon that I could have gone to, but yeah, I just timing wise I didn't get to go. And then there's a few coming up, but yeah, with the baby I probably won't be able to make it either.
Yeah. Well, it seems like you're really leveraging the digital platforms though, so that's good. That's probably one of the best things. I mean, you've got it down. You're on Instagram. You got your Twitter site. You got your stuff up digitally. So.
Yeah, I have a storefront too. You can buy physical. I have my publisher who sends them, or I could send them physically myself also if you want an autograph or anything like that.
That's awesome.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, we'll have
Can
to
you
put
tell
the link.
people where to find it?
Yeah, my website is lostbetweenworldscomic.com.
All right.
Very
We'll have that in the show notes and in the description and stuff too. So if you're listening or watching, check that out and go to his site. Absolutely,
yeah. Well, man, it was really cool talking to you, man. Thanks for sharing the book with us. It was really, really a nice find, and it's always interesting to see people put a unique twist on something. That's what I love about indie books, man. It's you always kind of push the limits and do interesting things. So happy.
Yeah, indie comics is where it's at right now. If you want like fresh new stories, I don't know if any of you guys are wrestling fans. I'm a wrestling fan. There's like this current wrestler. His name is Roman Reigns. He has this catchphrase that's just literally simply acknowledge me. Like he just stares at the camera, says, acknowledge me. And that's what I say. That's what I think indie comics should take. Like they need to take that mannerism, that quote, and just tell everyone, acknowledge us. Like we have the fresh stories. Yep. And I'm taking it to heart.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yep. Edwin, I tell you, man, you've got the right personality, my friend.
Thank you.
Tell you what, you have a fantastic book. You've gotten some great talent surrounding you. You've got great talent, but a lot of times, that talent can sometimes not shine through because the personality and the motivation and the passion and all that isn't there. But again, just the short time that we've had with you today, you see it shining through. So keep up the fantastic work.
Thank you.
You're
Thank
doing
you.
great.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man. And best of luck with everything with the baby, man. Congratulations with that too.
Congrats.
Got a lot of exciting things happening in your life.
Yeah.
All at once. All at once.
It's got me scatterbrained.
I'm gonna feel lost between worlds too, man.
And the funny thing about that title is it means so much things. Like I just get so lost between video games, comics, movies, work, comic book work, my life, my family life. Yeah, it's just everywhere.
Well, now you gotta have at least two, right? Because you got two kids. You're lost between kids. You got one going this way and one going that way. Which one?
Yeah. But I'm happy. I'm happy.
You said you like little nuggets and stuff, and putting in, maybe in one of the issues you have these four faces, bubbling around.
We did have cameo tiers for the Kickstarters. Right. Yeah, we had for the first one it was regular, and the second one was zombies. Maybe we could do something. Yeah.
Yeah, Edwin, we would not be offended if we were the next band that you killed and took to the afterlife. So
no worries.
Maybe Gwynn will run by some recording studio and see the four of you zombified. Like what?
That's it. Cool, man.
Awesome.
Well, thanks
Great.
again, man. I really appreciate you taking
Yeah.
the time. It was
Yep.
great getting a chance to get to know you and hear about your book. So
Yep.
thanks.
Thanks for having
Best
me,
of luck.
guys. It was fun.
Yeah,
Thank you.
you bet.
Thank you. Guys, have a good one.
Good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
All right. Well, thanks for tuning in. That was really fun talking to Edwin. Just a great book. I hope you guys check it out. Make sure to hit the subscribe and notification bell so we keep bringing you this interesting artwork that you might not be aware of. And we'll see you on the next one.